Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today I'm going to be talking about Matt Mercer and Dungeons and Dragons. All right, so I just got done watching a video by Matt Mercer announcing some very big news for Critical Role, right? So what was the news? Well, it was two major things. One, Critical Role, Matt Mercer has his own studio now. Actually has a new studio, a brand new studio, right? And this is television production level. This is a television production level studio. More, without a doubt, without exception, Matt Mercer's Dungeons and Dragons game has become a television quality, television scale show. This cannot be denied any longer, right? He's got millions of watchers. He's got, a dedicated fan base, and what he is doing is changing the face of Dungeons and Dragons forever, right? So streaming is a huge, game changer for Dungeons and Dragons, and Matt Mercer is farther out than anybody else. He's 10 miles ahead of everybody who's chasing him on the streaming, on the streaming wave, okay? And Matt Mercer, he really is absolutely fascinating. Now, I want to make my confessions, right? I am making my peace with Matt Mercer in that I really feel that streaming games are the weakest form of Dungeons & Dragons. To me, the absolute distilled beauty of the game is a game master, 4 players at a physical table with physical books, right? Actually, no, I'm sorry. I don't have any issues if people are using laptops. I have no problem with that, right? Especially now with D&D and Beyond. But physical people together, physically playing, right? And then also people who respect the rules. And in my opinion, Matt Mercer does not respect the Dungeons and Dragons rules. And that's not me saying that. That's him saying that. Just scroll back on his Twitter feed, and you'll see within the last 2 weeks, I just read this tweet from him that said, "Fun equals raw" at his table. Fun equals raw. To me, that does not respect the rules of Dungeons and Dragons. I respect that it takes a design team to design the rules, and so why am I making my peace with Matt Mercer? Well, without a doubt, I'm going to say it now, right? Matt Mercer is the absolute undisputed face of Dungeons & Dragons. There is no question of this, right? So one, if you were to say D&D and you were going to attach a celebrity to it, who would that celebrity be? And that is, there's a lot of people. Would you attach Gary Gygax? Well, he died in 2008. Do people even know what he looks like anymore? Not many, right? He was disconnected. He's been disconnected from the editions since 2. Edition 2. Who else would it be? Mike Merles, brilliant designer, absolutely saved the game, from the calamity that happened with 4th edition. Absolute genius. I'm a huge fan, clearly. He's not the face of Dungeons & Dragons. I'm not sure most Dungeons & Dragons players today would know him. Chris Perkins gives Matt Mercer a run for his money, but he's fallen off. Matt Mercer is way ahead of him now, right? Matt Mercer, without a doubt, is the face of Dungeons & Dragons. Now, I don't like that he does not respect the rules. And honestly, I really feel that significantly limits his ability to be a good dungeon master. So honestly, I don't think Matt Mercer is a good dungeon master. I really don't, right? And the reason why is I feel a good dungeon master has to respect the rules. And if you think fun equals raw, you're out. Like, you don't really respect the rules. I do not think Matt Mercer is a good dungeon master. Now, what is he? Now, why am I making my peace with him? I do like him overall, and more I'm getting to say, you better get on board, right? Because the bus is leaving, right? Streaming is a thing. And honestly, if somebody's going to be out ahead of the streaming game, I'm not sure Matt Mercer is the worst person to be there. He works hard. I feel even though he does not respect the rules, I think he has a genuine love of the game, right? I think he has a genuine love of Dungeons and Dragons, right? There's part, love isn't always perfect, but the love is real. And that's a big deal. That is a really, really big deal. I think there are a ton of streamers. I have to say this. I just watched Adam Cobell. He had he is the creator. He's one of the creators of Dungeon World. He just had an amazing talk with Matt Colville. You can watch that. It's an hour and 48 minutes long. It's worth every minute of your time. It's one of the best discussions I've ever heard on tabletop role-playing games. Adam Cobell just said he's running 4 games a week, and 2 of those games are Dungeons & Dragons because he can get the views, right? He even also said, he quoted the song, love the one you're with. So if you can't be with the one you love the one you're with. So like the idea of a love of Dungeons & Dragons being a very genuine thing, that's not a small thing. There are a ton of people who are attaching themselves to Dungeons & Dragons, and maybe their love of the game really isn't where it should be, right? So that's the one thing I think is absolutely genuine about Matt Mercer, is that he seems to genuinely love the game. The other thing is he is a champion of the game as far as carrying it forward and showing it to people. And he's Hollywood stock, man. He's got charm. He's got extra portions of charm to just throw on the game, throw on his fans, and he's a great ambassador for the game. Because one last thing about it, I think is, I've been watching him for a few years now, and when I say watching him, I watch him at the industry level, right? I read a whole bunch of articles about him, right? And I've watched a few of the games. I really struggle to watch the content because I just see people making Dungeons & Dragons a joke. Now, I'm 100% sure that there are people who don't think that's the case. There are a lot of people who think that's what's happening on Critical Role is an actual Dungeons & Dragons game rather than a show with Dungeons & Dragons kind of smeared on it the way you would smear, the way you would put butter on toast. I really think Critical Role is a show with Dungeons & Dragons kind of just smeared over it, But the reality is what it's doing cannot be denied. It absolutely cannot be denied. Matt Mercer is farther out ahead as far as being an ambassador of the game than anyone that Wizards of the Coast employs. And the other thing that Matt Mercer is doing is he's an absolute genius because our world changes so fast, and I just, I'm incredibly fortunate. I happen to be in the tech field, boy, and I'll tell you, man, I can hardly think of a better time to be in tech, right? It's a good time to be in tech right now, right? And although late 90s was pretty good too, everybody was getting crazy bonuses and all that. But that was before I got in. But here's the thing, right? Matt Mercer is really, what do you do when somebody becomes the face of your product and you did not make them the face of your product? What happens when there's somebody who takes your product and markets it better than your own company is able to do it, right? That is astounding. That is an accomplishment of the modern age. It is a danger of the modern age, right? This is terrifying. And the reason why is everything's cool as long as Matt Mercer holds it down, does the right thing, and is cool. The problem with attaching any one person to your brand really strongly is if that person slips up, you are in trouble, right? So now the thing is, I also, just from watching Matt Mercer over the last couple of years, he seems to be a very genuine, nice person. He seems to be a nice person. Actually, a nice person. The reason why I say this is I've talked in person with friends of mine who have talked with Matt Mercer at length, right? So it's one friend removed, right? And they said that he really is a really nice guy, where he's at is he really wants to help everybody. That sometimes he gets in over his head because he tries to commit to too many projects. But this was a while ago. He's probably learned since then, right? This is about a year and a half ago. And, and so overall, they said he's really genuinely nice. And in Hollywood, that's not a thing. There's tons of people with charm in Hollywood, but not all of them are actually nice. That is for sure, right? So I really am just absolutely fascinated with Matt Mercer. There's one more thing about his video that I want to talk about. Breaking it off from Geek and Sundry. Crack. I'm going. Geek and Sundry, I feel so bad for them. They are a launching pad for awesome talent who really gets started with them, uses them for momentum, and then leaves them in the lurch, right? It's like, so Matt Mercer and Critical Role are detaching from Geek and Sundry. I know they still got some projects going on with them, and some of their content is still over there, but he made it clear that in the future, Geek and that Critical Role and Matt Mercer is Matt Mercer, right? They were talking about their merch being now under their umbrella, and really making the brand Matt Mercer's brand Matt Mercer, right? And so it's really, really interesting. I'm curious what's going to happen with Critical Role, because I think, it's kind of like, like a band where the lead singer might be the only thing that the people really want. I'm not sure people really care so much about Critical Role as they do Matt Mercer, but he's a real talent. He's really, I can quibble with everything I just quibbled with about him, but I will tell you right now, when you see somebody with momentum, when you see somebody in air hitting that energy wave at just the right frequency, and people are responding, you can't, I don't want to be a person who denies the obvious. His momentum is incredible. He's probably the best ambassador for the game that's ever lived. And so I'm still watching him closely to see where he's going to go, because he's attached to something I absolutely love, which is Dungeons and Dragons. And also I have some very young friends, and to them, D&D equals Matt Mercer, that's fascinating. Boy, I'll tell you, man, if you're a brand out there and you have a product, you gotta be on your marketing game, man. Because one of the things that's pretty amazing now is that somebody can come along and attach that product to themselves and make themselves synonymous with your product. Like that is incredible. Like I'm not sure this has ever really been seen before. We live in awesome, weird, wonderful times, and some of the dangers, I think they're much, the reality is our lives are much, much safer and better today than they ever have been. But some of the dangers we have are just strange. That's my take on Matt Mercer. Let me know your thoughts. Thanks a lot.